All right. It is October 5th, 2023, Crossplane community meeting. And we don't have a lot of stuff in the agenda today, so I expect this one to be a quick one. I have dropped the link to the agenda into the chat, and feel free to add any items that you want to discuss in the last section of the agenda. We can just get started, I guess. So the first thing is actually an update. It was also shared in the Crossplane Slack channel. We have decided to push the release timeline for a week. This is basically to be able to catch up and finalize and make sure that we have a high quality release. So this is you can find the updated dates here. We are still planning to release the 1.14 early November before the KubeCon NA. As you might have noticed, like 1.14 release has a lot of improvements and fixes, changes, big functionalities like composition functions, promoting to beta with the new architecture, etc. So this will be big release. You know, hopefully we will have that available early November. So we can have a quick look to the roadmap. This is the public roadmap for Crossplane. So in 1.14 we are planning to deliver everything in the 1.14 column, and in 1.15 we have already started discussing some of the features in that column. For example, we have started looking server-side apply. We have started the discussions around what will the final shape should be for environment configs to promote it to V1 Beta 1. We kicked off some developer experience improvements. So even in 1.14, we will have these functionalities shipped. We already started working on most of the things that are not in 1.14 column. So feel free to just chime in any of the issues if you have some ideas or reasoning on why we should change the prioritization, or if there are anything else that you expect to be prioritized in the roadmap. Feel free to chime in the issues and comment there. So that was it. And in the 1.14 release board, I think the biggest thing is promoting composition functions to beta, and there are a lot of interest, and there are a lot of work going on there. And there is a discussion, actually GitHub discussion, which collects all the feedback and all the discussions together, which is also linked in the agenda. So anyone, I think we will discuss that when we get there. So I'm quickly looking at what is in progress, and I think yeah, everything seems on track. If there are any questions regarding the items here, feel free to jump. So this is the release board. We talked about the release schedule, and community calendar is up to date with that. Yeah, and as I said, what are priorities, and if there are anything from the community that you want us to prioritize, please just let us know. Let me quickly log in my account. Just a second. I don't know why it's logged me out. Anyway, so the next thing is provider releases and investments. So we have new releases for upbound official providers. you can find the links to the releases. It was also available in the announcement channel. I'm not aware of any other provider releases. If there are any, just feel free to add them here so that folks can be aware of that. And for the community topics and questions, I have listed a couple of content here that was shipped after our last community meeting. Basically, there will also be an upcoming live webinar, which is promoted or sponsored by Upbound. So I would suggest you to follow up there. And KubeCon North America schedule is still available here. You can check that out. And for promoting composition functions to beta, this was the ticket that the discussion that I mentioned. You can see like there are a lot of discussion and very helpful feedback. We have squashed some bugs and you know uh, get some real improvements in the user experience, actually developer experience in terms of composition functions. So one new, I think, post is like in the previous one, like Upbound announced that Upjet will be donated to Crossplane and as well as the official providers. And now we have a like Crossplane, we have a blog post about that on Crossplane site, uh, like Crossplane accepting the Upbound's donation. And you can find more details about like what this means and how this would look like in practice, etc. So this is highly suggested if you are interested in the details. Yeah, so I think this is a quick run through of the regular items in the agenda, and now we have time to discuss the things that you want our attention. So Predrag, I think the first one is yours. Do you want to uh, share about that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, just want to kind of draw attention to the group here. Last week, I crafted quickly a work in progress PR demonstrating how potentially a user would enable some sort of developer mode on the on a claim. So we have heard many users and the community members. It's very hard if something doesn't work as expected, some composition doesn't produce the managed resources in an expected way. It's very hard to currently to debug the issue, given that the debug logs are not enabled by default in the Helm chart when you install a Crossplane via Helm chart. And even that it's too then even if you include debug logs, then it's too verbose, and you can not easily catch all the log events corresponding to the given claim and the composition. So the idea here is just to demonstrate what will be the user experience in a way. So how the user would interact with that kind of functionality. I'm proposing that we could actually introduce some sort of annotation which will then the value of the notation could be either true or false, or we could actually have more fine-grained kind of options, or like turning particular things on and off. And this particular VAP is about just enabling insights into the environment, which is crafted in the beginning of the reconcile process. So what is going to happen in this PR is you add on the claim, and that's the thing. So you need only to interact with your claim. So because the claim annotations are perfectly down to the composites and further, if you add this annotation with a particular value, that eventually after reconciliation of the composite, you are going to see what was the environment and content at the beginning of the reconcile process, and that could be extended further. Like we could also like for example, add other things like diff between the previous version of the managed resources and the one which is basically effective as a result of the latest reconcile loop and so on. Of course, we don't need to. I mean, we could also try to emit those kind of debugging information on different places. So one place would be annotation, but we could all equally maybe consider status part of the composite, or even adding particular events, emitting particular events. All these kind of things could be like basically controlled through that annotation, saying specifying where we would like to see particular sorts of information. I just want to kind of draw attention to the community about this PR, and just to give a feedback if this something like this would be useful, and how we could actually polish this further to be even more useful for the users.
Cool. Yeah, I think that is definitely covering one of the pain points with the environments today. I think the discussion is already ongoing on the PR, but I think there are some questions about like as in in other areas of like environments, environment config, API shape, etc. I think the question boils down to which which are the things that we want to handle as a composition function, and how what are the things that we want to support natively. I think like if we decide to go with the native way, I think this feels like a very nice solution to the problem. So let's see. As Predrag mentioned, if you are interested in this discussion, just feel free to join in the issue in the PR.
I would just want to say one more thing. So, how are we going to technically implement something? How are we going to add this debugging information and emit them? It's pretty, I would say, very independent from how we're going to expose this to the user. And user should have some very, very easy way to kind of turn this kind of debugging on and off. Annotation is, I would say, one very easy way to do that. And how this is going to be then rendered and where it's just implementation question.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, so like it's like an implementation detail, and this could be an API that we could provide to users no matter how we decide to implement it.
Because I'm hearing also regarding that we are now talking a lot about the functions, and we have a lot of ideas how from using functions we could maybe add this debugging capability. But nevertheless, even if we do that, I don't think that, for example, we were talking. I mean, there was a couple of ideas, for example, that we can add or craft dedicated functions which are gonna add debugging information and attach them to various stuff. That's all good and nice, but the user experience or user kind of facing functionality is way more complex than just adding annotation, meaning that you would need to kind of edit your composition and add those functions, and you need to know what are the functions and so on. Whereas and that could be technically the path to do it, but again, I would advocate for having annotation which is then visible to user, and once we kind of add the annotation, then we can on the fly inject those functions in the pipeline without changing the composition, because I mean that will be way more complex for the user, for example.
Yeah.
If I can just chime in for a moment, if you're having to do this in the canary or production environment, at least here at SAP, anything you're doing in those kinds of environments, you're opening a change request and getting some sort of management approval, and you're supposed to kind of describe in not super detail, but some detail what you're touching. And the less you have to describe, the more likely you're going to be able to get the diagnostics you're looking for and not get blocked because of some bureaucratic thing, right? So if it's as simple as I'm going to make an annotation on this Kubernetes object, and then I'm going to collect these events from the observability stack or something like that. That sounds pretty innocuous and safe, and you probably get approved, right? If you're saying I'm touching all these compositions or
Yeah.
whatever, forget it, right? You're not going anywhere.
Yeah, yeah. I think it like if what I'm understanding is like if you need to add a new function in the pipeline just to get the output of environment functions, and if this needs to be done in production, this wouldn't be straightforward, right?
Precisely.
I mean, that
Yeah.
could be technically how we add those things, but I don't think that the users should really care about that.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying is like, you know, if I'm opening a change request ticket and all I'm saying to the reviewers is I'm going to make this annotation on this object, and then it's going to give me like this stuff in a log or event, the events or whatever. Um, you know, they probably won't ask any more. Okay, but under the covers, what's everything that's happening, right? They're not going to ask that, and I'll get my approval. Um, but if I'm having to explain to them, oh, I have to modify all these objects, then obviously I'm going to get a lot more pushback. So it's just a question of optics, really.
Yeah.
Exactly. So the attack surface or whatever, yeah, surface, yeah.
Yeah, the perceived attack surface, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
then these are definitely quite valuable feedback. And like this is something, for example, you are aware of because of the dynamics in your environment. And like it would be great if you could just provide this as an input in the like discussions so that we can we will be able to we will make sure that we take these into account. So
Yeah. Thanks for the feedback. Yeah, if you can post something on as a comment on the issue, that would be great. And also others, if you have any other feedback or wishes how this could evolve, yeah, please.
cool. I think the next one is from Dan as well, right? You want to
Yes,
give some yeah.
yeah. So I know this is, it's the community provider and Upbound is not maintaining this anymore, but I'm hoping I can at least get some assistance here with, let's say, 3 points. So one, I'm struggling to get the attention of the maintainers of this provider. So I was hoping that, yeah, I'd get maybe they'd be on this call even. That's one thing. The other thing is the actual I'm calling this just a draft right now, or work in progress PR, because conceptually I'm not sure if the approach I have taken is right, and this is something just for probably like any kind of provider for a resource like this, RDS instance, where you can have a restore. Uh, the challenge is um, how the provider is determining password change. Um, so what it's been doing so far is it says, okay, um, password change is determined if you've specified a secret that is a source of a password, and I'm able to access that and then compare with the publish to secret and see that yes, the values and the secrets are different. Um, then I'm deciding the password has changed. And uh, that's a problem when we're doing a restore, because if you've used the restore from snapshot uh, feature, which is both in this provider and the official provider have a similar feature, um, then what happens is if you haven't specified a secret yourself, you're just letting the provider come up with a secret for you, is uh, it calls into AWS and says, okay, restore this database from a snapshot or what have you. That function doesn't take a password parameter. So then you have to set the password after the restore of the database has been performed. But you can't do that right away because it takes some database time for the database to be actually provisioned from the snapshot, and AWS is not letting you try to set the password in the meantime. So you're going to end up going being requeued and come back through observe. But then observe is going to say, well, this resource exists and I don't see any secret with a provided password, so I'm not even going to try to change it, to set a password here. The approach that I took here was to add a status condition to track whether the password has been set or not. And if we are coming back into update and we see, well, the password set is pending, then yeah, we make an attempt to set the password. But that pattern of using a condition to track whether we need to be setting a password or not, I don't know if that's the right approach at all. I mean, for other stuff, there's been annotations used. I think Nick did some work for us fixing a problem, and other people had the problem too with basically the situation where, due to eventual consistency, there's key pieces of information like the ID of some resource that you provision. You can't have that in create, so you have to be able to pick it up after the fact. And so Nick put in an annotation to kind of do something similar, where he was determining, okay, really, have we finished creating this thing or not? In an annotation. I wasn't as comfortable doing that in an annotation for this thing, so I did a status. But is this approach wrong, using a condition, status condition? Should I've done an annotation instead? Any feedback I could get would be much appreciated.
Yeah, so I don't know if anyone has a good answer or idea on that. Yeah, to me, I think I think I will share the same concern about relying on a condition for such an operation. And also, like, there is this with status, usually we don't want to keep or rely on what is there. It's more like reflecting the observations to the external world. But in this case, I think this is I think kind of an edge case, and it feels like with the current managed reconciler, there is no way to handle this in a native way, right? So this is why we are looking for some sort of a workaround to make sure that, like, if the resource is provisioned, or is it still something in progress, etc. One thing that I am that you know I remembered is, like, there were some discussions around leveraging composition functions for day two operations as well. Like, for example, backing up a database, for example. Like, this was one of the use cases of composition functions. Even today, it looks like it is more focusing on the compose functionality, or taking that compose functionality out. This was one of the like use cases. So do you think if, like, having a composition function and checking the resource status and taking actions depending on that could help here, like, without making any changes in the resource itself? Because we are passing the observations and connection details to the resources in the run function request. The thing that I'm not sure is, like, I think we don't allow to make changes in the MR connection details. So I think that could be a limitation.
Yeah, possibly because you know the situation is that let's say when I didn't do anything, right? So before I made any code changes, what was the result? Um, so I specified a snapshot. I saw that the my RDS instance was provisioned from the snapshot, but then in my secret for connection details, I was only having the endpoint.
Mm-hmm.
So no user ID or password in there, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it was exactly because the um, provider wasn't realizing, oh, I'm supposed to be, in this situation, I'm still supposed to be producing those things, right? With a composition function, I suppose if it's being invoked really with each update, it could look into the secret and just say, this doesn't make sense. Like I wrote this, I wrote this composition function. I know there has to be a username and password in the secret, and I see it isn't in there. And yet the resource is in ready state. So I fix it. I figure it out, and I just generate a password myself and set it. If that's, I mean, this would be a composition function, assuming I could code it up. It would be for a very specific case. It wouldn't be something universally that I would
Mm-hmm.
say, oh, hey, anyone who has this problem, use this, right? But at the same time, I could fix my team's specific problem probably by doing that. It would still feel like a workaround. Like this pull request is kind of workaroundish. I think. Um, so okay, it I'd be if I did it with a composition function, I wouldn't feel any better or worse about the resolution. Let's say,
Okay.
assuming I can do
Yeah.
it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. One thing that, I think I need to check it a bit further, but if that resource doesn't have an API to get the password as input, like in case of snapshot, wouldn't you be able to pass an existing secret with the credentials you have for this database
Yeah,
you want to snapshot from?
AWS. Yeah, AWS isn't letting you do that. Um, so uh, uh, you have to come back after the restore and set the password. At least from as far as using the API, the AWS APIs, it's you provision from a snapshot, and then if you're wanting to set, control what the password is, which you probably do, then you're having to come after the fact and do that. It's different from create, where create RDS you specify, here are the credentials up front, right, in the create call, but restore doesn't do that. And that kind of highlights like this problem that I'm trying to resolve here. I'm suspecting that it's in the official provider as well. Um,
Hmm.
I haven't tested it yet, but I'm kind of suspecting that the same uh, the same problems there. If you, which means if you are trying to use the restore from snapshot functionality, yeah, you'll get anyone who's doing that, they're going to get an RDS provision from the snapshot, but they're going to have to figure out after that how they're able to use it.
But does this mean that we should actually enrich that resource, manage resource to refer a password or something, so that basically in essence, we could after the restore is done, set password automatically.
Yeah, and the resource, like if you look at the you know RDS instance resource, you can say I forget the exact field name, but it's like the password from or something like that. You can refer to um, a secret, um, But even if you do that with the way the provider works today, it won't get, um, uh, I don't think it's going to get set, even if you do that, because the resource will be, if I remember right, the resource will be provisioned from the snapshot. Um, there won't be an attempt to do a uh, set the password at that time. And then if memory serves, what happens later is in observe, it just doesn't realize, oh, I never actually managed to set the password.
Can
But you
can't it
understand it
say?
sounds as a bug, right? In the provider then.
Yes, that would be a bug, which is, and that's what it was. That's what this started as, is issue 1121. Um, uh, so it started as, someone, maybe they weren't having exactly the issue that I hit, um, but it really seemed, you know, yeah,
Yeah, I think uh yeah, I think it could make sense to at least like try this out with the official one and see like how it behaves and like whether this exists there or not. And if I think if it is handled somehow, maybe this could give some insights about like what the user experience should be in terms of handling this and how that provider actually there was, as you know, the Terraform in the middle. So I'm not sure like how that could be applied here, but uh, what I
yeah,
would do was like testing with official providers. If the issue happens there, then yes, this is a problem, and maybe we can create an issue there as well to get more eyes on it. If not, if it is working as expected there, then I would focus on maybe the Terraform AWS provided code and see like how they are handling. As you know, like
yeah,
it's also an open source, so we can just get some insights from there and then maybe feel more confident about the solution that we are implementing in the native
yeah,
provider AWS.
yeah. Makes sense. And FYI, I have a teammate who is spending some time looking into, what it takes for us to move to the official provider. It's just
Mhm.
this issue for us uh, can't wait. Um, uh, it basically, what happened was a cluster got deleted, a semi-important cluster got deleted, and we realized, oh, we've got a number of disaster recovery failings, and this came out of that. That's
Yeah.
why I even started working on it.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, like just to make sure that like just uh, not to be misunderstood, I'm not, proposing to move official providers for this. It's more like if it works fine, then we can get some insights on
Oh,
like how this was handled there, and
yeah,
maybe we can
yeah,
apply it here.
yeah, and that's what I understood. I just was wanting to say, like, okay, by the way, I've got a teammate who's actually going to be trying, not specifically the snapshot function, but making our stuff, like making sure our compositions and claims and whatever are working anyway under normal circumstances. So the amount of time it takes me for, to try should be less, because I can
Mm.
just go to him and say, hey, your POC, I need you to try with snapshot. And hopefully I can get an answer, like, in a couple of days when he has a second,
Yeah,
versus, me struggling a bit more to figure out, okay, how do I translate what I need to translate over to official. Cool.
yeah,
Uh,
I see.
well, thanks so much. And yeah, well, if if necessary, I will, you know, post something about what happens with the official provider into the issue uh,
Yeah,
once I get a chance to give it a shot.
yeah, that sounds great. And also we can you can maybe like try to get some more eyes from Slack, after you have some findings, or like if it doesn't work and if you still need this. I don't like how what is the process in such case, like the maintainers of the provider is not responding, and like if it was a trivial change, I think it would be easier. Like if you were saying like I need an approval, but maintainers are not around, then I think maybe someone else could help. But this doesn't look like something trivial. I don't know if anyone has the immediate idea. Otherwise, I think we should try to get some more eyes and see if anybody is interested to contribute here.
Cool. Thanks so much.
Sure. Yeah, thank you. Cool. I think we went through all the items in the agenda. Are there anything else? I think I see two more new providers added in the recent releases. This is something that we want to mention. Anything else that anybody wants to? I see, Predrag, you added something. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I just wanna. I'm not sure if you. So we are aware there is some for in the last couple of years at least. I have seen this Hacktober Fest event, which is sponsored by DigitalOcean. But in essence, it kind of encouraged people to contribute to open source projects. And I would like, as a kind of small reward, if they collect a number of PRs merged across the participating projects, they then get some kind of swag or something. So the question for the round here is whether we would like to contribute or like participate in that event. It's quite easy, so we just kind of need to go to the website and register ourselves and add additional label to the projects where we want to have receive some participations, and yeah, that's it basically. So just kind of want to ask around if there is some willingness to participate in that.
Yeah, I think we can communicate on the Slack maybe if there are any interest. And I think we are a small group today in the community meeting, and Predrag, maybe someone else from the wider community might be interested. So feel free to follow up on that on Slack.
Okay, thanks.
Cool. I think that's all for today. Then I think we can wrap this up and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks. Ciao.
Bye.